When people talk about foreclosures, it usually goes hand in hand with things like good deal, below market value, great opportunity. Everyone seems to want to paint this picture that foreclosures are like a pot of gold. You can just buy it and make money off of it. But that's far from the truth. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get seriously burned and lose a ton of money. Now, foreclosures haven't been talked about a lot recently because we're in an economic boom right now. People aren't losing their houses. But with the talks of a recession coming, people have begun talking about foreclosures again. They think that in a year or two, when the market crashes, there'll be a lot more foreclosures and people should swoop in and buy them if they can. Now, I'm not saying that foreclosures can't be good deals, but you need to know exactly what you're doing before you try to jump in. Because one wrong move and you can lose a ton. I'm going to talk about some of the things that you need to know before looking at a foreclosure so you can avoid as many pitfalls as possible. Now, if you want to avoid losing money, please hit that thumbs up. Guaranteed you won't lose money. I'm kidding. But seriously though, please hit the like button so the YouTube algorithm will push this content out to other people, and hopefully people will watch it and learn about how they can avoid losing that money. Anyway, back to the video. A foreclosure happens when a property owner fails to make their monthly payments, either on their mortgage or on their property tax. If an owner doesn't pay their mortgage for 90 days, a bank will start the foreclosure process and try to take the house back so they can sell it and get their money back. Or if you don't pay your property tax, the state will put a lien on your property, and if you continue not paying it, they can foreclose and collect that money. Now, I want to specify, when I say foreclosure, I'm talking about when a house is actually foreclosed and it's going to the foreclosure auction. I'm not talking about short sales. Short sales are a completely different topic. A short sale is basically when a bank agrees with the owner to sell the property for less than what the mortgage is and then forgive the owner for the remaining balance. Basically, if a house is worth $100,000 but the owner owes $200,000, if the bank agrees to a short sale, then the owner can sell the house for the $100,000 and then use that money to pay the bank back and then clear the entire $200,000 debt. Now, a short sale can happen during the foreclosure process, but if it does happen, then that means the house wasn't actually foreclosed on. In this video, I'm talking about foreclosures in the sense that it went through the entire process and the bank actually got it back and is going to put it in the auction. So when a house is put on auction, the bank will schedule a day for when the house is actually auctioned off. This can be done either online or in person. Some auctions are online where you go on sites like auction.com and then you bid on the property. But some houses are auctioned in a physical location, usually in front of a court building or something like that. So how the auction works is the bank expects you to pay for the entire house. You have to have enough cash to buy this house, so you can't have a mortgage on it. So on the day of the auction, you actually need to get cashier checks from the bank to put down earnest money, or sort of like a deposit. And then you just have a couple days after that to wire the rest of the money to the bank. That doesn't give you enough time to actually get a mortgage. You have to have a lot of cash to buy a property like that. And because of this short time frame, you don't have a due diligence period. This is huge because normally a due diligence period for a house is when you can actually go and take a look at the house, go in with an inspector, go in with a plumber, and check out if anything is wrong with the house. With foreclosure auctions, you don't have the opportunity to do that. You're pretty much going in blind. There can be a lot of things wrong. If you're lucky, you might be able to just do cosmetic repairs. If you're unlucky, the entire plumbing system might be messed up. There might not even be a plumbing system. Back in the day, 2009, there were a lot of houses that went on foreclosure. The bank boarded up the property, which was when they just nailed wood panels to the windows so nobody could get in. But a lot of the times, thieves would just rip those boards out, climb in through the window, steal all the copper piping, and then sell it off. Basically steal whatever they can. If that happens again and you get a property like that, you're gonna be spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars replacing all of those things. What you thought was a good deal might actually lose you a lot of money just because of these costs. The other thing is, during a due diligence period, usually hire a title company to take a look at the property's records to see if there's anything wrong, if there's anything owed on the property. So the title company usually does something called the title search. They'll look to see if the seller is actually legally allowed to sell the property. Sometimes a house is bought under a husband and a wife, and then the husband wants to sell, tries to sell it, but the wife refuses. In that case, the house technically can't be sold because they both have to agree. In a case of a foreclosure, you don't have that problem. But another thing the title company does is they actually take a look at if there are any liens, any outstanding liens on the property. So a foreclosure will clear some of the liens, such as something like a second mortgage or mechanical liens. A second mortgage is basically when a homeowner has an existing mortgage, but then they go and get a home equity line, or they try to borrow more money on the property. That would be considered a second mortgage. A mechanical lien is when an owner does work on the property, hires a contractor, and then doesn't pay the contractor. The contractor can put a lien on the property, and when the property sells, they can collect the money back. Those sorts of liens do get cleared after the foreclosure, but there are other things such as utility liens, tax liens, even child support. Child support, you must be thinking, child support? What does that have to do with a property? Well, the cool thing is, if you own any property and you owe somebody money, they can go to a judge, get a judgment on you, and then say that they own a part of your property. And then once you sell that property, you have to pay that judgment back. So say a couple owned a house, they had a kid, the couple divorced, and now the husband is paying the wife some child support. The husband is losing money. He doesn't even have enough to pay his mortgage, so he can't afford to pay the child support either. The wife is pissed. The wife takes the husband to court, and now the husband owes the wife like $20,000 in child support. Well, the husband doesn't have the money to pay it, so the wife can get a judgment on the husband to pay that $20,000. And since the husband owns that house, that judgment can be put as a child support lien on the property. If you buy that house, you're now responsible for that lien. You owe the wife $20,000, not the husband anymore. That stuff sticks with the house. If you don't have an opportunity to do a title search, then you won't know that. That's why buying a house at a foreclosure auction is pretty much going in blind. You don't really get any information. Some people do get information by kind of sneaking in the back door or opening a window and just climbing in, something like that. But that's technically trespassing and illegal. If you get caught for that, you can get arrested. And even then, if you do get to go in, you can't actually see everything. A lot of the times when a property is put on foreclosure, they're not paying the utility bills anymore. The utility shut off the electricity, shut off the gas. So even if you do climb in the window, how can you tell if the wiring is okay? How can you tell if the gas piping is okay? You can't test it at all because it's shut off by the utility companies. You're basically going in and hoping that these things work. So if you're not lucky, you're just basically buying someone else's problem. Another cool thing about foreclosures is something called the right of redemption. So even if you went to the auction, you won the bid, the previous owner has a certain amount of time to buy the house for that price. So once you buy it, you can't even begin working on the property to fix it up. You just have to hold it and leave it there. So the right of redemption is different in every single state, so you have to look that up based off of what state you're in. So say the right of redemption is 30 days or something. You have to buy this property and leave it vacant for 30 days before you can start doing work. Because if you start doing work and somehow the previous owner comes up with the money, then you basically did the renovations and the previous owner gets that labor for free. The issue of keeping it vacant like that is insurance. If you have a property that's not in a livable state, it's really hard to get insurance because insurance companies see it as a huge liability. If something happens because that place is unsafe, then they lose a lot of money. So if you're buying insurance for that, they'll either charge you a huge premium or just flat out refuse to sell insurance to you. And you definitely do want to have insurance. If there are unsafe conditions in that house, say somebody is walking down the street and then a piece of the roof falls off and smacks them in the face, they can sue you for that. And if you don't have insurance, you're gonna be paying out of pocket. Now you might be thinking to yourself, oh, there's an auction date set. I can just get the home inspection done before that date. I can get the title search done before that date. So you go and hire a home inspector who's willing to kind of break into the house. And then you also get the title search done. Now you spent about $1,000 something doing this, and then on the auction date, you go for the auction, but it turns out that house is no longer put up for auction. The previous owner made a deal with the bank and paid back everything that he owed. Now you're out $1,000 something because you've had all these services done and the house isn't even on auction. That actually happens fairly often, so that's gonna have to be a risk that you're willing to take. Now you must be thinking to yourself, with all these problems, who in their right mind would still want to buy a foreclosed property? Well, investors who know exactly what they're doing. If you learn how to manage all of these things, then you can plan ahead and come up with your bid based off of all the work that needs to be done. If you know that you need to put $50,000, $100,000 worth of work into this property after you bought it, then you need to price that into your bid and decrease your bid by $100,000. If you can do that and you're willing to take the risk, then you can make a lot of money from foreclosure auctions. But you just need that knowledge and experience. If you're going in blind and you're thinking that, oh, this house is worth $500,000. The auction price right now is $400,000. I can buy it and that's $100,000 easy in the bank. But then it turns out that you need $100,000 worth of work. And then you find out that there's $20,000 owned on the property. Well, you just bought it and lost $20,000. Also, you have all your cash tied up and you can't invest somewhere else. There is a lot of risk to it, and the key is to manage that risk. I really wanted to make a video to talk about this because recently I've been seeing a lot of videos pop up just showing the bright side, showing green fields, sunny skies, like everything is great. But the real world isn't like that. There's a lot of things that you need to watch out. So I hope this video was informative. You've learned some things, and if you're still considering buying a foreclosed property, watch out for all those pitfalls. Now, I really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. Or if you have any questions, comments, please post them below. Thank you so much.